My friends, welcome back to all of you. With a big heart and a desire to share with you, regardless of how I feel. Either I feel tired, either I feel sometimes overwhelmed, either I feel sometimes defeated. We lose battles, but we do not lose the war. I want you to remember this, and I repeat this to myself as well. In this journey called life, as we going towards the destination that we know, it's the right destination, which is heavenly Jerusalem. Well, sometimes we lose battles along the way. Either we lose battles with ourselves, either we lose battles with lust sometimes. We lose battles, and you understand me, my friend, because you are just like me, a human being. But regardless of all, we have Jesus on our side, and Jesus will never let go of us. Jesus understands us, and because of him, we have the motivation to carry on, no matter what, no matter how disappointing it is when we see our weaknesses. I just wanted to say this. Maybe some of you that are watching, you need to hear that as well. And I said this because I was desperately in need to utter these words. These words were for me as well, as much as maybe they were for you too. The music in the background, let's not forget our beloved friend David Lastra from his channel, the most beautiful channel on the internet. Can I say this? His music, his spiritual music, his channel is called Deep Instrumental. So it is a powerful, beautiful, lovely channel that I want you to know more about. So go and subscribe to him. Let's go back to what we were talking about. We're gonna talk about what? Someone that just like us faces all these things that life throws at him, Jonathan Roumie, battling the same battles like us, having as well weak days. And now he's going to talk about something that I didn't hear him speaking before. If you did hear him speaking before, well, kudos to you, but I haven't heard him speaking about this. He speaks about how, mark these words of Jonathan, how him and Dallas Jenkins are handling criticism. But not this, because there are two types of criticism. One is constructive criticism. And I know, no matter how sensitive I might be sometimes, or maybe you, no matter how sensitive we might be, if someone is criticizing us this way, in a constructive way, we can accept easily that criticism. We listen to it, we see kindness, because someone that criticizes us in a constructive way will do it with love, will do it with gentleness and kindness. And it's easy to accept when someone is criticizing you this way. But no, they don't speak about this kind of criticism here. From where I extracted this segment, well, let's support this channel by mentioning once again, because it's not the first time when I mention this channel here on my channel. Pints with Aquinas, Matt Fred. Matt, he doesn't need me to advertise him. He's a giant. He's a good YouTuber, an extremely good YouTuber. The work that he does is just amazing, and I learn loads and loads from him, regardless of him being a denomination that personally I don't identify with. I'm not Catholic, but that doesn't stop me to learn from those that I listen to. If only all of us will have this capacity to learn from each other. Let's agree to disagree in what we do not agree, and let's move on with the things that we have in common. This is the key to progress. But as human beings, we are in this bitter bickering between ourselves and each other. So much bickering, so much bitterness. People, they like to argue, either it is on a political realm. Oh, don't talk to me about that, innit? Especially in USA, but not just in USA. Republicans, Democrats, in UK we have Labour. I don't want to get into it because I personally believe that the worst thing that ever happened to United Kingdom is this Labour government. Well, that's a different story. So people, they love to bicker and to argue about absolutely everything under the sun instead of learning from each other. But we don't do that. So another reason to be broken, really, to realize that this world is as it is. But what I was talking about criticism, and how Jonathan, you will see him talking about how they handle destructive criticism. You know how much people love to tear others apart, literally. I've seen many critics against the Chosen made not out of the goodness of someone's heart, but with bitterness and with poison and angriness and calling names whoever is involved in project. Dallas has been called names, lots of hatred against him. Oh, Jonathan Roumie, I think even more. Jonathan got even more of a hatred. And the others involved in the project as well. But now you're gonna see him in this segment from, and let's finally advertise this channel, Pints with Aquinas. Take a look. This is the channel. This is Matt Fred, the founder of this channel, an amazing Christian, an amazing human being that is doing such a great job. So I don't think there is anyone that is subscribed to me that doesn't follow, is not subscribed to this channel, Pints with Aquinas. By all means, subscribe to him and follow his content, because this is a powerful content. As I say, I'm learning a lot from him, putting aside differences and focusing on what I can identify as well with. And there's plenty of stuff there. Not a long time ago, he was talking about he has a program, personal study, that he wants to offer every man in order for them to get free from pornography. Absolutely amazing, isn't it? Something that it's useful to everybody. I'm not saying just men. We need to fight against this. Now, let's see what Jonathan says about how they handle destructive criticism, hatred, literally hatred. What Jonathan is doing, how he manages to get over this. For me as well, it's new. I haven't watched it before. I'm curious to see what exactly Jonathan is going to say about this. How they handle, let's put it this way, is hatred, literally hatred. How they handle hatred. So let's take a look. 3 and 2 and 1, go.
I am not just saying this to be nice to you.
Truly I say to thee.
Totally.
Yeah.
Not just saying this to be nice to you, but when you walked on set as Jesus, it just made sense. It wasn't jarring. It wasn't like, well, this is weird, but I got to get used to it. It was like, wow, that's amazing, and it's got way more. It's way more than just your hair and beard. Clearly, you know.
He's also, I mean, that
well
first.
done.
Thank you so much. That first scene is in a bar.
Okay.
And Jesus walks into a bar where Mary Magdalene is drowning her sorrows and on the verge of committing suicide in our story. You know,
Yeah.
we take some creative license. It's
Yeah.
based on the Gospels. It's not meant to replace the Gospels.
Calm
It's
down,
not
nerds.
let's just relax.
Everyone. I was going to ask you
okay?
about this because there's a lot. We live in such a divisive time.
Yeah.
Everything is being pulled apart.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, the conservatives in America, the Catholic Church, the Jewish community. Like it feels like everything's being sifted as wheat.
Yeah.
And it's really like you're just like, hey, what if we just did this like show where we
Yeah.
kind of did a kind of a Lectio Divina on the Gospels? Well, actually, like there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
And of course, that's not to say there can't be legitimate criticisms of artwork. Obviously, that we're not saying that. But it's how have you dealt with that? How has
Yeah.
Dallas dealt with that?
He's pretty remarkable in that there's not much that sticks with him. He just kind of bounces off of him, and he's like, yeah, whatever. You know, like he already knows what it's going to be, what the criticisms will be before we even shoot the scene. I feel like there are times where I'm like, this is going to get a rise out of people, but you know, I get it. I'm like, this is, you know, when we've had actually discussions about like, okay, well, how do we best approach this scene? Because you and I both know that this is going to read one way to some people and another way to other people, and like, how do we just keep this continually universally ecumenical, where we're not planting a flag
Right.
one place or another? Because that's been, for me, in my observations, that's been the reason for the success of the show. It's because it is so universal. It is so beloved because of how it's not denominationally specific. It's story specific. It's Jesus specific. It's Jesus centric. It's meant to get you to think about the reality of Jesus' life on earth and what he did that was both human and divine in the course of his life and ministry, and get people talking. And hopefully, if you've never met Jesus, if you don't know who Jesus is, if you've never opened the Bible, this is meant to gauge your interest and provoke interest in knowing more about these
Right.
people, about this movement. You know, we describe the show now as a historical drama, because that's what it is. It's a historical drama about these people at this time and this man and our God in this movement. If you don't accept that he's God, that's your journey. But we're presenting it as this is what this story is, and if it strikes something beyond just that of a narrative, you know, a television show, glory to God.
So you've seen what Jonathan said. Now Matt is a big fan of The Chosen as well, and they have a beautiful friendship, a beautiful relationship. They're both Catholics, that helps as well. You see how excited Matt was to have Jonathan Roumie there, and I recommend to you, go and see all the interview on Matt Fratt channel, which is called again Pints with Aquinas. See all the interview, enjoy this beautiful interview, see exactly everything there, because this is a feast. There are lots and lots of parts that I can't share everything here, even though I wish, and I could be so rude to take all the interview and to just blast it here on my channel. This is something that, out of respect for Matt and his channel, I won't do, and I don't do this with anyone that with their permission and their kind, because they allow us to use some parts of their content, but obviously we advertise on this channel. You saw every single time if I take a certain part of a video from someone, I always advertise that person. I always say I took from XYZ. Matt Pratt, his channel Pints with Aquinas, and really he deserves all your attention, friends. He deserves all your attention. He's doing a great job, a great work for the Lord. Even you, my Protestant friends, that you'll say, oh, he's a Catholic. Well, like I said, remove those parts that you don't agree with and focus on what he speaks there that makes sense to you as well. Can't we learn from each other? I think this is the biggest problem we're facing nowadays. The fact that we're focusing on division. We're focusing on differences between us instead of focusing on things that we have in common. I want to say something for everyone. I do not preach that all of us we should unite and make a soup out of everybody's faith. I do not preach this. But what I preach is that all of us we should search for Jesus. And as we discover Jesus more and more, as we see more and more who Jesus is, then something is going to happen. And I'm telling you what is going to happen. It's not going to be this ecumenical, all religions, doesn't matter how they're called, all Christian denominations emerging into one. Catholics and Protestants uniting again. No. This is not what's going to happen. What's going to happen is that people will let go of their denominations. And they will say, hold on, I'm not identifying myself with, Protestant or Neo-Protestant or Orthodox or whatever. I identify myself with Jesus. People will identify themselves with Jesus. People will, as they will search more and more for Jesus, they will want Jesus more. And then they're not going to proclaim their faith as a dominant faith. They're not going to say that their faith is the truth. They're not going to say nothing like this whatsoever. They will say that Jesus is the truth, the way, and the light. There is no other. Because I don't know what you believe in, but I'm going to say something loud and clear, and I'm not ashamed to say it. There's not a church that saves, no matter how you call that church, but the one that saves is Jesus. Jesus saves, not a church, not a faith, not a denomination, not a, oh, if I am a part of the right denomination, I don't know what is that right denomination, then I'm on the right track. No. Jesus is the one that saves. He is the one that died there on the cross for us. He is the one that paid with his blood the price of our sins. He is the one. He is the one that deserves our praise and worship. He is the one that deserves we identify ourselves with. Not a church. Not a church. There's no church in this whole world that died for you, for me, my friend. It's Jesus. Then something happened. As you know, he didn't just remain dead. The grave couldn't contain him. No, it was impossible. How could the grave contain the Son of God? How could the grave contain God incarnated? The perfect sacrifice for our sins. He resurrected to life the third day, and he showed to us. He showed to everyone that through him will be forever life as well. Through him, if we believe in him, that has no power over us. Just like Apostle Paul said, Dad, where is your sting? Where is that sting? Do we have any reason to be afraid of death? We will be afraid if we do not believe. We will be afraid if we will falter. We will be afraid if we will let go of Christ and start doing our own thing, running away from salvation and going in the opposite direction. Then there will be fear of death. But if we walk with Christ, we're going to say just like Apostle Paul, for me to live is Christ. To die is gain. Why? We should be afraid of death. I want to say one more thing. Thank you for listening, friends. Imagine in 100 years from now. Can you imagine from 100 years? In your mind, 100 years from this very moment, all of us will be dead. Everybody. Jonathan Roumie, Matt here, myself, you that are watching, all of us, we're not going to be here anymore, and most probably our children as well, because it's 100 years. The children of our children will be old, be 70 years, 80 years, 85. Hopefully they will still be alive. The children of our children will have our age today, 30, 40. So if in 100 years all of us will be dead and gone, think about something. Don't we waste too much time in useless things? Hatred, strife, anger, valuing things that don't have really a value. What really has value? Christ. What really has value? Love. What really has value? Spending time with those that you love. What really has a value? How much you love God, how much you love those that are your family, how much of a difference you make. In 100 years from now, most probably nobody will remember us. Our memory will be erased from people's memory, even our own family. My grandchild, will that grandchild remember me? Will he know that once upon a time Peter Voiku was alive, breathing and kicking and making content on YouTube and Rumble and Facebook? And think about that. We're not here forever, and we call to make a difference, to live lives that truly matter. And instead of wasting our life in useless things, accumulating richness that eventually someone else will enjoy, dreaming about that car and finally getting that car, and then having to pay for that car, and before you really enjoy it, as I said, your time might come, my time might come, and we'll have to go and face the one that created us. We're not here forever, friends. Always think about this and live lives that matter. Jonathan here understood. He understood that the only way in which he can make a difference is to allow Christ to shine in his life. Have you understood that? Only Christ. Have I understood this? Oh, may God help us to understand, friends. See you soon. And thank you so much for watching.